Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Salt of the Street studio. Welcome back to Beer Time with Big Bird. Today is Friday, and you know what that means. Time to grab some beer, drink it, and talk about it. All right. So actually, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. Today we're drinking one of the greatest, if not the greatest, and I should probably say the greatest because it says it's the greatest on the can. Generally speaking, you'll find it in a cool white pottery-looking glass. Usually, like in the 20, I think they're 22 ounces. They're pretty big bottles, but sometimes you can find them in here. And this is the Delirium Tremens. I'm gonna call it the Tremens. I don't know. This is actually one of my all-time favorite beers. It's very instinctual. It's very distinct. You can always find it because it's got the pink pig and the light blue can most of the time. It's like their main, I don't want to say flavor, their main beer. They also make variations on this one. I have another one here at the house, which we will do at another time, called Delirium Nocturnus, and it is a darker version of this here Belgian fantastic brew. That's what we meant to say. That was bad. But yeah, we'll get into that one later. This is like their OG flagship beer, and it's one of my favorites. So we're going to dive into that here in a minute, but a little bit different. We're going to do things a skosh different today, just because, it's my show, so I can. We got our glass for the day. It's a nice little Frank Sinatra glass I rediscovered the other day. So we're going to drink some Belgian deliciousness out of Frank Sinatra. But hey, what are you going to do? Let's hear how it sounds. Oh, no. As long as we don't mess up. Oh, the little thing. It keeps spinning every time I open it. This is going to get interesting. Okay, don't. There you go. There it is. Okay, good. Good. All right, well, let's pour it. See how gorgeous this thing is. It's always a lot lighter than you'd think, especially after you take a sip, because it is a strong beer. I believe technically this is a triple. It's a Belgian triple, I believe. But as you'll see, look, that is damn near, that's like almost Budweiser color. And the amount of flavor we're going to get out of that is going to be very, very surprising to a lot of people. Especially if you've never had one of these before. They're highly problematic. Oh, okay. Yep. This is really good. I got this at Total Wine, by the way. It's a very fancy beer. Elected as best beer in the world. Exclamation point. I'm pretty sure that happened like one time, the World Beer Championship in Chicago. I want to say it was in the 90s. But I don't know. But anyways, once you get that label, you can kind of slap it on everything you do, right? It's the same beer. But yeah, it's amazing when you look at this beer that you're going to expect this thing to come in at anything above, say, 5%. Much less, I think it's like 8.6. Shoot, we were unpaid here. 8.5% ABV. And they only come in tall boys, which is hilarious. And apparently this is I was reading earlier that this is like one of Belgium's most popular beers. Not bad for 8 whatever percent. I wonder if it's the same recipe, the same percentage ABV over in Belgium. Maybe. I'd assume so, actually, to be honest. But anyways, so let's go ahead and we're going to take a little sip. It smells real malty, and that's about the only thing you get off the top. Well, I wasn't going to do a full review thing, but it just smells too good. It's like, real yeasty, real citrusy, real sweet. Kind of tastes like our lovely favorite thing in the world, the old fermented loaf of bread. Oh, but it's like thick like molasses, and it is smooth. It is everything a Belgian beer should be. It's been a long week, folks. Happy Friday again. Cheers. Actually, joke's on you because it's not actually Friday for me. Today it's St. Patrick's Day. So I hope you all are in recovery from yesterday, and I hope by the time you're getting this, you've already had a couple liquid IVs and a couple more, like giant glasses of water, and you're feeling a little bit recovered from your lovely green beer. And what am I making for dinner today? Corned beef and cabbage and potatoes, and it's going to be so good. But anyways, it's Friday, so we're over that. We're going to have another beer tonight. Hair of the dog, that's what we'll call it. But yeah, this beer is pretty fantastic. Looked up a little info on the old beertourism.com. It's a beer blog, and they talk about kind of like some flavor notes, what's in it. I like the fact that they actually have an ingredients on this thing. We got 3 varieties of yeast happening in this bad boy right here, which is pretty sure not that uncommon, but especially with beers from the Europe scene, I imagine it's not as common there because they're not as crazy as like the German purity law stuff, but they're still pretty strict about what they put in their beer. And they say that the base malt is just a pale malt. And then we've got a Styrian Golding hops and the Saaz, S-A-A-Z hops. I'm never really known how to pronounce that, but real plain Jane. Oh, God, it's so good. So, now that we've tasted the beer, we've drank the beer, we smelled the beer's good. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. Comes from Belgium. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Any decently stocked liquor store, beer store will probably have some. It's probably the most imported, like high quality Belgian beer that you'll ever find. So, and it's pretty popular. So just look for the light blue cans with the pink elephant. So other than that, I really just wanted to spend a few minutes today just kind of like relaxing, talking about beer. We've got some exciting things beginning to unfold here at the Salt of the Street studio. The first steps in the construction of the Salt of the Streets brewery has been undertaken. The first steps are some skeleton out there of what will become the brewing area and the outdoor kitchen and things like that. So things are progressing quite nicely. But we want to, Donovan and I, because we're going to make our first beer, obviously going to have to be a Salt of the Streets beer that we review right here on the channel. But we don't know what kind of beer we're going to do. Are we going to do something simple so we don't screw it up? Or should we say, screw it, let's go big or go home? It's been like 5 years since I flexed my brewing muscles, but let's just go for a triple IPA. We don't want to do that. I've actually, truth be told, I've only had one good triple IPA my whole life, and it came from a local brewery here in Paulsbo from Valhall. It was called Eric's Special, Eric's Son's Special. I don't remember, but it was a lovely tribute beer to a friend of the brewery's that had passed recently, and it was the most. I mean, once you get into like the double and the triple levels in the IPAs, all that super hardcore bitterness from the hops really like falls to the wayside. You get a nice citrusy burst of hops, but you have a really strong backing of just deep, complex malts and yeast stuff going on. So they get really, really fun. The only problem is you can usually only have about 2 because otherwise you get really, really fun. They're generally pretty up there in the AVB game. But that being said, what kind of beer do we want to make? Like I said before, do we go easy, make what we call smash beer, single malt, single hop smash beer? Generally, we're making a pale ale at that point. You have maybe a single 2-row malt, and then, a good... I don't know if I'd want to pick like a really danky hop for it. Maybe something like tart and got a nice little peppery, aspects to it. Maybe like a Yakima hops or something like that versus my standard Simcoe, which is that danky, dirty, weed-smelling beer, which is, or hops, sorry, that's my favorite when I'm making IPAs. You really just get the real true aroma, and that essence of the hops really comes through from there, and It's not as weedy as, say, like the Tropic Chronic that we did a few weeks ago or whenever that was. But, like, it still smells like beer. It smells like hops. But they're really, really good. So do we go that route? We go simple. Do we do a wheat beer? We could do a wheat beer. We can do like anything. One caveat. We can't do a lagered beer. We can't brew at a cold temperature right now. We're not going to be set up to do that until I get another fridge. I need an independent fridge that we can turn way down to just like 35 degrees, and we can lager up some beers at that point. But it'll literally just be a lagering fridge. So we'll just have to wait on that one. But so we're going to do ales. We're going to have some kind of ale going on. I don't know how I feel about doing an IPA because everything nowadays is an IPA. And I just, don't get me wrong, love me an IPA. Love me an IPA all day. But, you know, I like beer that tastes like beer too. I like Belgian-y. Really love Belgian beers. Mostly because they're so malt and yeast forward. God, even this, every sip, man. You get that whiff simultaneously while you're kind of taking a sip in. And you get like these real fruity notes coming in off of the yeast. And then that really full-bodied embrace of the malt. It's just so good. I'm almost sad that it's St. Patty's Day and I have to drink a Guinness later. Yeah, little known secret, Guinness ain't that great a beer. It's really not. Like, it's pretty all right, but, you know, there's plenty of other good stouts out there. Actually, maybe we'll say a Guinness and we'll do one of the really nice stouts we have. Although 11% is like that's barely a beer. That's basically a barley wine at that point. But I do have an imperial stout that's sitting at 11%. We're gonna have to bust into that one day. I don't think today though. So anyways, let's get back to the beers thought. Do we want to do darker beer? Do we want to do lighter beer? And kind of do like the idea of keeping it somewhat simpler, particularly getting away from the IPAs, because your beer cost at that point starts to go up at an exponential level because you're going to use a ridiculous amount of hops, and they don't exactly just give those things away, especially to poor little plebs like us. I'm sure Budweiser gets a deal on them, but they're probably not getting good hops either. They're getting like they're probably using hop pellets. Let's be realistic here. Gross. We'll talk more about hot pellets on another day. So, yeah. So we're gonna do beer, but you know, I don't want to keep it too simple because really all you're doing at that point is like the whole process is gonna be the same, regardless of how complex or not it is. I mean, there's a few tricky things we could do by adding certain types of fruits, or you know, cacao nibs are always a good additive, especially to a dark beer because it gives a little chocolate essence, but it's also really. It also adds kind of like a creaminess to it, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of that. But then we have to go dark, which is fine. We can go dark beer. It's not a big deal. We're just changing up the malt recipe like a little bit more room for error when you go darker because you're playing around with some really charred malts and those things. It a little bit goes a long ways. So if we go dark, we're going to have to consult a couple other recipes to kind of like figure out what we want to do. But that'll be fun. That's what we should do. I'll talk to Donovan tomorrow. We got a podcast. The episode 124 of the Salted Streets podcast is going to be right here tomorrow, noon, on the YouTube Salted Streets channel. We have our new flow, our new system. We got 4 parts to the show, 5 parts if you're a Patreon member, and it's just one solid live stream. We take a few minute break in between each segment, and we just roll. So look forward to that tomorrow. Make sure to like, subscribe right here to this channel. Make sure you got that notification bell turned on so we can let you know, or I don't want to say we, YouTube may or may not let you know when we do go live. It's kind of a 50-50 chance these days. We don't know. So let this be your reminder that, so tomorrow, noon, right here, Salted Streets channel. We get into episode 124, talking about some really heavy stuff this time around, but we're not going to get into that right now because that's not what we do here on Fridays. Here, we drink beer, we talk about beer. Hell, we might even tell stories about beer. I think that's kind of where we're going to be leaning towards this channel. We're going to review the beer in a much less serious fashion, more of a you're sitting there drinking with your buddies type of fashion. I would ultimately like this to be something that we live stream and we all just kind of hang out on Friday nights before a podcast. I mean, that just sounds like a really, really fun time to me. And then we can all have different beers and we can head over to the Discord and we can hang out there and live chat and record beer episodes. It'll be a really great time. But to do that, we need to know what kind of beer we're going to make. So Google some beer types. If you're not familiar with home brewing, or just, I don't want to call it home brewing, just brewing in general. It's like when you bake a loaf of bread at your house, we don't call it home baking. We call it baking. That's because it's what you're doing. So we're brewing. We're not home brewing. We're just brewing. I don't know why I got so upset about that all of a sudden. I was like slighted for a minute that there's this home brewing. Oh, no, it's just cooking, bro. Just cooking and fermenting in a closet, and that's how things go. Yeah, so let's reconvene right here next week, and we're gonna discuss with a little bit more seriousness. We're gonna start breaking out a recipe, I think, a little bit. So make sure you let me know your suggestions for what kind of beer you want for your first Salt of the Streets beer. Let me know right in the comments. Get in there. Tell me what kind of things you like, what you're interested in, and we'll see what we're working with. And it'll be a great time. That being said, let's wrap it up, I think. I think we're going to wrap it up. 17 minutes. I don't know. How long should we make these things? I mean, do I have any fun beer stories right off the bat? No, nothing really comes to mind. Other than, most of my beer stories right now are from doing them on the show or doing the holiday beer reviews with all those beers up topside there, which, one day you'll see. I promise. They're up there. And I got St. Pauli's Girl. St. Pauli's Girl, right there. Up, boom, boom, boom. You can't see that yet. We got Voodoo Ranger stickers right over here, courtesy of the great and powerful Vanilla to Chad on Twitch, a friend of ours. He's a good dude, and he hooked us up with some of those Voodoo Ranger stickers, which are from, is it Voodoo Brewing? I don't remember, but they make a nice IPA, and that's the IPA. The Voodoo Ranger is the IPA, and it's phenomenal if you're into that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. I've got another little thing I got to squeeze in tonight, so we're gonna go do that here in a minute. And but yeah, make sure, once again, a reminder to tune in tomorrow, Saturday, March 19th. And we're going to have Salt the Streets episode 124, and it's going to be a blast. We'll basically be streaming from noon through the rest of the day, Pacific Daylight Time now. Fuck you, Daylight Savings Time. And yeah, we'll see you there. And in the meantime, cheers, everybody.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.